Time now for a look at the day's top business stories. France 24's Brian Quinn joins me here in studio. Brian, you're starting with a look at some more firms that are pulling out of Russia due to the invasion in Ukraine.
Yeah, it's getting more and more difficult for Western companies to do business in Russia. Difficult on one hand due to the massive sanctions on the Russian banking and financial sector. On the other hand, due to Moscow's increasingly toxic reputation as it continues to lay siege to Ukrainian cities. Netflix, H&M, and Oracle are the latest batch of companies to halt their Russian operations. Netflix pressing pause on all its new projects there, H&M halting sales. Tech firms in particular are increasingly rallying to support Ukraine. Enterprise software giant Oracle has become the latest to suspend its activities in Russia. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy, meanwhile, pledged to use his company's logistics capacities to get supplies to Ukrainians in need, along with providing cybersecurity assistance. Now, video game maker Electronic Arts, too, has removed Russian teams from its upcoming soccer and hockey titles. As cryptocurrency donations have poured in to help fund the Ukrainian defense effort, the country's digital ministry has been lobbying tech firms to take a stand.
Amazon, Etsy. Now we are working on like esports companies, gaming companies, and the latest news that Electronic Arts removed Russia from FIFA's game series. So we trying to work on all fronts, not just trading or social media, because we believe that everyone in Russia have to realize that this is just really barbaric.
Well, meanwhile, Western sanctions over the Russian war effort against Ukraine are expanding. The U.S. on Wednesday announced new measures targeting more than 20 defense-related entities in Russia and banned the export of oil and gas extraction equipment for Russian refineries. Russian ally Belarus is now included in Western sanctions as well, with the EU banning 70% of Belarusian exports to Europe. Now, the effects of those sanctions are mounting, with Russia's sovereign credit cut to junk status by two major ratings agencies Wednesday, as doubts grow over the country's ability to service its debt. Meanwhile, the Moscow Stock Exchange is set to remain closed for the fourth straight day Thursday as the Russian central bank tries to stave off an asset crash. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says the sanctions are having their desired effect.
Plummeted. The Russian stock market closed as fear of capital flight rose. Interest rates more than doubled. Russia's credit rating has been cut to junk status. The value of President Putin's war fund has vanished. And by choking Russia's access to technology, we're delivering a blow to its economy and military that will be felt not just now, but for years to come.
Time now for a check-in on the day's trading action. Asian indexes mostly on the rise following a big bounce on Wall Street in Wednesday's session. Investors somewhat reassured by U.S. Federal Reserve Chair Jay Powell's plan to raise interest rates gradually over the year as high inflation continues in both the U.S. and the EU. The Nikkei in Tokyo up around 0.7%. The Kospi in Seoul up 1.6%. Chinese indexes mixed as new data there shows the country's services sector slowing. Oil futures, meanwhile, continuing to skyrocket amid shipping disruptions and supply fears due to sanctions on Russia, which is the world's #3 oil producer. Now, the OPEC cartel sticking with only a slight production increase for March despite the crisis. That's got Brent crude near 9-year highs, currently trading over $117 per barrel. West Texas Intermediate not too far behind at just under 115. Finally, for business, cryptocurrencies are not only being used to aid Ukraine, they've also emerged as a major area of concern as the West seeks to maximize the effect of its sanctions on Russia. As they operate on decentralized networks, digital monies like Bitcoin and Ether are not usually directly affected by traditional banking regulations. The U.S. and the EU are now working on measures to prevent them from being used to circumvent sanctions. Yaneli has more.
This is a copy of a highly coveted NFT. CryptoPunk number 5364 is a digital art piece worth an estimated $200,000. It was transferred to the government of Ukraine's Ethereum account on Tuesday. It's not the only non-traditional form of donation since Russia's invasion. According to blockchain monitoring group Elliptic, crypto assets to the tune of $35 million have so far been sent to the Ukrainian government and an NGO that supports the country's military. This after Ukraine's Minister of Digital Transformation tweeted official channels for would-be donors. Enthusiasts say it's an efficient way to help in times of war.
We've heard that Ukraine had lots of troubles with their banking system because obviously they're in a state of war. So crypto has much more layers of protection against that. It's permitless and it's borderless. So that's why we decided to help through crypto.
But the situation goes both ways. Cryptocurrencies do not rely on a central bank or authority. This means that states, companies, and people who are subject to international sanctions could bypass those very punishments. The Ukrainian government has called on digital platforms to block Russian users, but efforts would be limited. Several exchanges don't require identification. Plus, Russia is a major crypto mining state. That's the skill of creating new coins with computers, something Iran has been accused of doing to evade sanctions. Moscow could also resort to hacking digital currency platforms like North Korea, according to analysts. Meanwhile, some regular citizens too are turning to crypto as they flee war, hoping to convert it into local currency at their destinations. Trading on both Ukrainian and Russian platforms have soared in the past days.
A lot of potential for good and bad in that Wild West space of crypto, sure.
Wild West. We're watching closely how the situation evolves. Brian Quinn from our business desk, thanks so much for joining us this morning.